All right, in this last video, I'm going to be talking about some things to listen for as we're going through those moments, and also how to work with different effects and things such as high pass filters, low pass filters, and just different EQ tricks to help us out in these moments. So I'm going to go to a down moment here between songs in a spontaneous moment. Here, I'll show you what it sounds like right now. Let me fast forward. Cool. So there's not a lot happening right now, and some tricks I would like to talk about is especially in our pads because they're way more highlighted than they normally would. Pull up the channel. So trick that we've recently started doing, I've really enjoyed doing, is adding a low pass filter to your pads because let me just bring those above everything else quick. They'll sound pretty harsh. And that can kind of just sound nasty even with like an acoustic guitar or just vocals ad-libbing over it. So as we go in these moments where the pad is highlighted and kind of the forefront thing as we're in a transition between songs, adding in a low pass filter, say to even, it's pretty drastic to about 400 hertz. So everything above 400 hertz is cut out. Adds just a nice mellow pad to our sound and allows the acoustic to kind of sit well within that, allows the keys to feel better within that, and even lets the vocals ad-lib over it better, and we kind of cut down the harshness we get out of that because, like I said, in those moments, it's really just going to be pad and keys, maybe keys and maybe acoustic that we're hearing. And along with the vocals ad-libbing, there's not going to be any other instruments in. So making sure we have a good pad sound right off the bat is going to help us out in those moments. And then the last thing, effects-wise, that we can work with is delays. There's a lot of the times tempos are going to change in between songs. I know for us on stage, we have tap tempo control in case we need to speed up or slow down from where the previous song was at, or anything new that we're going into. So making sure that like, if we have delay or different timed effects on our vocals or on any of our other instruments, if we're doing anything post-processing there, that our tap tempo is lined up correctly. But I'd say about 95% of the time, that's going to be the only thing we need to adjust because chances are we're going to stay in the same key. Chances are we're not going to have crazy vocal effects going on in these moments. It's just going to be making sure that our tap tempo is aligned. So, and show here. All right, so in this moment, we were coming out of Same God in another spontaneous song that were both at the same tempo, but we're going to be slowing down here into a new song. I'll kind of show how that works. So it's kind of hard to get a read on any tempo as there's not a whole lot going on here. So it's the key is just to kind of watch worship leader who's ever leading this moment. Right now, worship leader we have is playing acoustic, so it's a really good way to kind of find that new tempo. But it's really important to find who you can key off of for some of those changes before the whole band is in and the whole song kind of starts, so that our vocal effects or other tempo-based effects don't get super messy. So I can already tell we're a little bit slower than we were from previous songs. So just tapping in our new tempo allows us to still get good delay effects or other tempo-based effects without getting too messy or sounding off tempo. This is the last video in the series, so just to kind of recap everything that we talked about is, I think the most important thing is just having a good workflow. Like I said, making sure that we're not mixing in the micro, but mixing in the macro. So just making sure we have those groups right in front of us where we can access everything right away as we need it, because anything can change in a given moment during these parts of a worship set. The second thing is making sure that we know what we're listening for in a band context. Like I said, in those down moments, a lot of it's just going to be the pad is the star of the show. And then making sure we know how to balance keys and acoustic on that to where it's not, they get too loud over everything, but just fit with the pad, and we don't lose all that energy right away when we lose out on drums and electric guitars. All right, so the third thing we talk about is making sure our musicians are giving us what we need. I talked a lot about the bass player and making sure that the bass player is giving us what we need, like staying low on the instrument, because that's really going to give us the low end that we need to keep the energy the same, even when we lose out on those other loops and backing tracks that might give us something like sub bass or something in those lower frequencies that now we only have from our bass player. And then number 4 is just those tips and tricks to make sure that our pads are sounding good, our vocal effects or any other time-based effects are staying in time, and just making sure we know who those people are on stage that we can key off of so we can be successful mixing in those spontaneous moments. If you have any questions or other things you'd like to know about, leave a comment down below. I hope this was helpful for you, and we will see you in the next video.